Welcome again, everyone, to our August Healthy New Moms webinar series. My name is Roni, and I work as the Child and Family Program Manager at the Mental Health Association of Maryland. Healthy New Moms is an organization of MHAMD, and we work to raise awareness about maternal mental health conditions, infant early childhood mental health, and just the whole family mental health for that new young time period. You can learn more about the work that we do by visiting www.mhamd.org. I do want to mention that today's session is being recorded, and you will get a recording after the webinar ends in your email. Certificates of attendance are available, and at the end, I will share more about how you can get those certificates. These are not CEUs, but it's a way to just track that you participated in this webinar. So let's dive into our webinar topic for today. Mental health begins in the earliest years of life. It shapes the child's development, relationships, and lifelong well-being. Today's webinar explores the foundations of infant and early childhood mental health, the importance of awareness, and the role families and caregivers play in supporting healthy development. Participants will learn about the Children's Mental Health Matters campaign. This is a statewide initiative to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and promote positive mental health for children and families. And we'll explore some resources and messages that we can bring to our communities. For our speaker today, I'm so excited to introduce Angie McRae, who serves as the Child and Family Engagement Manager at MHAMD. In her role, she leads the amazing Children's Mental Health Matters campaign, a vital initiative dedicated to raising awareness and fostering acceptance of the critical importance of children's mental health to the overall well-being of families. Before joining MHAMD, Angie worked as a family peer support specialist, providing guidance and support to families navigating behavioral health systems and services. Her professional and personal experiences inform her strong commitment to advocating for the mental health needs of youth and ensuring that every child has the support they need to thrive. Angie is amazing and she does amazing work, and we're so excited to have you, and I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Roni, and thank you for having me here today. And likewise, you are amazing. You've done some really, really wonderful things with the Healthy New Moms program. So I'm happy to be here with your audience today. Um, I thought I saw one or two names that I might have recognized. So if so, hello. We're a small group, so at any time, feel free to just unmute and ask a question, make a comment, interject. Um, as Ronnie said, I've managed the Children's Mental Health Matters campaign. I will tell you a little bit about it later today. Um, she also mentioned that I come from the perspective of lived experience. So I am a mom of three. My oldest just turned 23 last week. My middle will be 20, and my youngest just started her senior year. So it's been quite some time since I had, a baby or a toddler, but still remember everything very fondly. So just wondering, if any of you have young children, young grandchildren, work directly with young children, just to kind of see who's here today. Okay. Well, I'm sure. Let's see. I'm sorry. The chat. Let me see if I can see the chat. Like sharing screen and trying to see chat is multitasking and messes with my brain. Direct. Okay, Gabrielle. Great. That's awesome. All right. So a lot of this information that we'll, cover today, you might be familiar with, but because it's imperative and so important that we pour into our children and babies so that they have a full and healthy life. We'll continue to talk about it and make sure we're armed with the information to share within our own families, our friends, colleagues, communities, um, and just take care of the little ones. All right. So the developing mind, we know that, you know, well, first I'll say, some people think children are born as a blank slate. We know now that's not true. We know that, bonding starts to form in the womb. Um, but when these babies are born, every single experience, impacts how they grow, how they learn to, I'm sorry, I'm having Roni, am I delayed? Look like I'm having a lag.
A little bit, but we can
Is it
hear
okay?
you clearly. Yep. Your video is delayed,
Okay.
but we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, that was distracting me. Um, that early childhood mental health is the foundation for how children grow up and learn how to play and relate to others and develop relationships. Play, um, daily routines, shaping how they understand themselves and connect with the world. Positive, impactful, trustful relationships, and responsive care help children develop their curiosity, their confidence, and emotional skills. And with these early childhood experiences, how we interact with babies and young children, it helps them just build their ability to manage feelings, identify their feelings, form friendships and relationships, be curious and explore, and really lays the groundwork for lifelong well-being and success. So, when talking about developmental stages, we always talk about benchmarks to determine if a child is progressing. And we know that all children, are different and they grow and respond at their own pace. But we do look for some of these social emotional milestones as they're growing. So from birth to 12 months, we're looking for smile. They recognize caregivers showing some attachment and their response to calming methods. Those toddler years, 1 to 3, you definitely know they start showing their independence. We talk about the terrible twos. They may have tantrums and playing near children, parallel play, as we call it. And then a little older, 3 to 5, we start seeing interacting, playing with others, being able to show empathy, and being able to follow simple rules. So it is heartbreaking and unfortunate, but many children and families are exposed to trauma. So abuse, neglect, community violence are just some examples. Um, and being exposed to traumatic events can have an impact on a child's development. ACEs, which I'm sure you all are familiar with, these are the adverse childhood experiences that occur before the age of 18, and they may interrupt healthy brain development, alter the immune and endocrine systems, and change how the body responds to stress. We absolutely know that it can have lifelong impacts to adults, health and overall well-being. So what is trauma? Trauma is a scary, dangerous, or violent event that can happen to any or all members of a family. Some have more than one event or live in ongoing traumatic circumstances. And I've listed just a few here. So, preventing these ACEs can help reduce health and mental health conditions. Some of these could be unavoidable and also mitigated with care and intention. So, children and families overall will have different reactions to events that have impacted them, and some families might be more resilient. And resiliency is just the ability to experience a situation, deal with it, cope with it in a healthy way, and still be able to move forward. So some families and children, have a higher resiliency, but some may not. And so they'll have different reactions to this. Um, and it's really important as adults, as parents, to really stay attuned to your children. So here are just a few behaviors to take note of and to share with a pediatrician, or if you're an educator and you see these behaviors in a child, perhaps talk to the parent. But here are just a few to take note of. Um, and any and all of these behaviors a parent may see over time. But again, being in tune and knowing if it comes out of the blue, if it's persistent, and not going the way, or if it's really exaggerated, that is the time to talk to someone. So infants and toddlers, change in their eating habits or sleeping habits, or they're constantly irritable. If you see increased separation anxiety, aggression, withdrawal, um, limited, no communication, language delays, a loss of development skills, a regression. And then preschoolers, out of the blue, impulsive, overactive behaviors, really intense temper tantrums, repeated aggression, withdrawal, again, limited interest in social interaction, difficulty playing with others, inattention or delays in language and developmental skills. I'll pause there. Any comments or questions about what we talked about so far? Any, oops, did I stop sharing, Ronnie?
Nope, we can still see.
Okay. I'm messing with buttons and um, any comments from educators or anyone with, experience seeing these behaviors perhaps in the classroom or in the childcare setting, or just any comments at all? Okay. So we talked about ACEs. How many of you heard of PACEs or PCEs? So just as adverse experiences affect a child's development, positive experiences can mitigate or reduce their harmful effects. And so PACEs, which has been coined protective and compensatory experiences, or PCEs, which is positive childhood experiences, um, they reduce, I'm sorry, they reduce, some of the harmful impacts, such as toxic stress and poor physical health. So PACEs, protective and compensatory experiences, promote positive outcomes in the face of adversity. Numerous studies indicate that positive experiences set the foundation for early childhood wellness all the way up to impacting their adult mental health. And so they've categorized it really in two domains: supportive relationships and enriching resources. And I've just bolded the ones that, really are pertinent to early childhood, and ones that, we'll look at and talk about. Um, so unconditional love from a caregiver. Um, just an interjection, I'm a little bit old school. And when I was having, being first time mom, there was talk about, holding a baby too long could spoil the baby. I absolutely don't believe that anymore. I might have thought that then. I hope I didn't. I hope that didn't have lifelong impacts on my oldest. But, those are just kind of things that, you know, we may hear um, from older generation, but unconditional love and holding and loving other, that is pertinent for a growing baby. As they get a little older, having a best friend, volunteering or being active in the community, being part of a group, having a mentor, positive parenting. That's on us. That's on us for parents and caregivers to um, take care of ourselves, pour into ourselves, so that we can best that we can be, so that when we are disciplining, when we are guiding, it's coming from a place of love and not just emotion or anger or exhaustion. Social support and a sense of belonging. And then development of child's empathy, their self-regulation, and social skills. Under enriching resources, living in a safe home where needs are met. Those could be tangible needs, that, a lot of families struggle, but also emotional needs. Getting a quality education, having a hobby, being physically active, and having rules and routines. So, along the same lines as positive experiences, are what the Center for the Study in Sociology and Social Policy have created called protective factors. So, they've created this framework that shows positive outcomes more likely for young children and their families and reduce the likelihood of child abuse and neglect. And so here are the five tenets of the protective factors. So parental resilience, we talked a little bit about resilience earlier. Managing stress and functioning well when faced with challenges, adversity, and trauma. And that is something that it is an ongoing effort. That's not a one and done. You kind of learn, one coping skill. The needs will change over time, the intensity will change over time, and the onus is on parents to take care of ourselves. You might have heard the expression, putting your oxygen mask on first. I think, a lot of people use that expression. We do have to take care of ourselves first so that we are, have adequate sleep, have adequate nutrition, and just time, also time to ourselves so that when our families do face traumatic events or when something happens to a young child, we are there and presented in our best selves. Social connections, positive relationships that provide emotional, informational, instrumental, and spiritual support. So that's again for our family as a whole, as well as creating a village for our child, a godparent, an auntie, you know, um, really fostering relationships with extended family, neighbors, um, exposing them to play with other positive children, um, and again, just widening that support circle. Knowledge of parenting and child development. So that's understanding development, the milestones, and strategies to support all the developmental areas, cognitive, physical, language, and again, social and emotional. Concrete support in the time of need. Um, that sounds just like what it is. Sometimes that's financial, sometimes that's time from other people. And a lot of times, when I was working directly with families, sometimes there's shame in having to ask for help. But when help is offered, accept the help because 99% of the time, if someone is offering the help, they generally want to help. And so it might be hard for us to ask and or accept, but it is important and vital that we allow someone to help us pick up the slack if we need it, because it's for the benefit of our family and our children. And then lastly, the social and emotional competence of children. Um, family and child sorry, interactions that help children develop the ability to communicate clearly, um, and recognize and regulate their emotions to form and maintain relationships and friendships. Any questions about the protective factors? Have you all seen this, come across these in your work or through any other training? So just additional ways to support your child's social emotional development. So supportive, responsive relationships with trusted adults, strengthening core life skills, and reducing the sources of stress in children's lives improves their overall health and well-being, as well as school readiness. We know that when children's mental health needs are met, that they do perform better in school. They are more ready in position to learn and participate. Um, so here are just a couple examples of how we can teach social and emotional skills. Praise positive behavior. Um, I know sometimes we parents can get into a cycle of, uh, you know, no, put that down, get off of there. And that's just part of raising a child. But praise positive behavior, name the behavior, um, set expectations that match your children's abilities. We all have ideas of, and all think our children are the most beautiful and the brightest. Um, but sometimes we may set the bar a little bit high, particularly for young children. Another example, my middle one really picked up language early and made full sentences way before I thought he was supposed to. So I'm thinking, oh, he's brilliant. So, I'm thinking, I can reason with him and I can talk to him and do these things, but he was still just a teeny weeny kid. Um, so I had to dial that back. Like, okay, you're still 3. You're not going to be able to do that. But yeah, setting expectations that match the children's abilities, and just being attuned to that, and again, praising when they've done a great job. Talking about feelings and labeling emotions. I think this is so important. And I'll just say, particularly, I have 2 young men. Talking with our children very young, and um, you know, helping them understand the difference between um, being angry or being sad or feeling lonely or whatever it is. Talking all the time about what that is. Even the feelings charts, a lot of parents find those helpful because it helps just differentiate between being afraid or a little bit nervous or whatever it is, and it just really increases the likelihood that your child will feel comfortable talking to you about how they feel. So start early and often. Encourage friendships and empathy. I think that speaks for itself. And then teach problem solving and sharing. So you know, that's self-explanatory as well. You know, young kids, particularly toddlers, sometimes will get very frustrated if something's not working, or, whatever the case may be. And teaching them to slow down and figuring out how to come up with a solution will have lifelong impact, as well as sharing. And that is just laying the foundation for kindness, raising a child to be kind. So this is a lot of text here, but just wanted to share, these are just some of the family-centered activities. This is some of the information that we share with our champions through our campaign too, on just how parents and families can continue to, spend that quality time with their children and their families, exposing them to new things, getting that exercise, um, and, really just taking a step back and, forming the relationship. I always say, we can read all the parenting books and we can, go to all the webinars, but at the end of the day, it really is just about the relationship and being there for your babies, for your children, with your family, um, talking and loving and being open and creating that space for, everyone to be themselves and just a way to express, love to one another. And that will feel good. That will feel good. And when you're feeling good about it, your children will benefit from that. So I'll just pull out a couple, because I think these are fun. Um, Go outside and get some fresh air. Like it's finally feeling kind of decent outside, maybe a little fall crispy. So now, now's the time to go out and get some fresh air. Um, Try to get a good night's sleep. I've got this watch every night. I'm like trying to get to 100%, being intentional about, again, resting. Um, Visit your local library. You know, um, those with babies and toddlers, we absolutely know that reading is vital and fundamental. They have plenty of programs at the library. Just go and sit with books and just get them used to utilizing that resource and reading. Try a new healthy recipe with the family. Taking 10 deep breaths for meditating. Again, that's self-care for yourself. Um, Play a game of tag, listen to some good music, all these things. This is just a small sample of, things you can do to sort of reset, recharge, and connect. Even when things are going right, parenting can be really tough, can be really tough. Um, you know, and parents can be really stressed out. So we talked a little bit about peer support, and what that looks like is, um, support from someone who perhaps has lived experience. If you are stressed out, or if your family has gone through something and you're noticing your child is suffering, and you're seeing the outcome of that. Um, Peer support is an awesome way to sort of relieve some of that pressure off of yourself. So just as a note, from a 2023 study, 33% of parents reported high levels of stress in the past month compared to 20% of other adults. That's a third. That's a third of parents. Now, this doesn't specify how, the ages of their children, but I'd venture to say that, any parent for a number of reasons. Um, but peer support is one way to receive help. And um, there's an organization I'll share with you in a little bit, but that support looks like, learning how to navigate systems of support. What is available to you in your area for support, in your community um, for your supporting your child, feeling more empowered and becoming better advocates, um, and then sustained involvement in your child's mental health treatment or plan. Um, if if you notice something going on with your child, you will learn more about that. You'll become an advocate for that, and just having that understanding puts you in a place of um, you know, uh, stamina for the long run, and also being able to help someone else. You will feel less alone or isolated. A lot of times, uh, you know, particularly moms, will feel the guilt if things aren't going right in the family, or if the child is behaving in a certain way, you don't know where it's coming from, or something did happen and you absolutely know the child's behavior is a result of that. We feel guilt. We feel responsible for all of that. We might be embarrassed to talk to a friend about that. And maybe our friends or extended family are unaware what has happened, and we can't share that. So it can generate um, a feeling of isolation. And, having someone who may not have the exact same experience, but, is familiar with that type of parental stress and kind of where to go, is really, really, really helpful in healing. And then, of course, will help reduce the stress and shame and just emotional exhaustion. So here are just a couple resources. Again, you might be familiar with these. 0 to 3. You can learn, more about childhood development. Parents Place of Maryland. They are also a good state partner that we interact with quite a bit. And they do support families of children with mental health needs as well as disabilities. And they do offer that peer support and navigation I was just referring to. And then, of course, the Children's Mental Health Matters campaign. We've got a ton of information and resources just, to help you um, get basic understanding of mental health needs, and also for just family resilience. So a little bit about the campaign. If you're not familiar with the campaign, it is a year-round campaign where we solicit champions that act as our ambassadors for sharing the information and resources that we make available. In addition to our webinar series, we have a monthly newsletter with our author here, Roni, who publishes a wonderful newsletter for our extended champion group. And what we want to do is arm uh, parents, educators, community members with shared information, a shared message, and to help spread our mission of making sure that families have access to mental health, reducing the stigma, making sure that parents are informed um, about mental health, particularly early childhood mental health, how important it is to start that healthy foundation, and just, information, resources throughout the life of the child, all the way up through transitioning age. And so we make all that information available to our champions to take out into their community and to utilize in their own families. So some ways that you all here can um, take advantage of those resources are signing up for our monthly webinar, utilizing our digital library where we have downloads for a family resource kit that includes fact sheets on some of your um, uh, wider known mental health impacts for kids, and then tip sheets for families, like I said, regarding resilience, how to talk to your pediatrician if you suspect something might be going on, if you notice some of those early warning signs that we talked about, um, all the way up to telehealth and reading lists, in fact, activity sheets. Um, and then you can become a champion for children's mental health and just get plugged into those resources and more of the activities. We are in our planning stages right now, and we will be opening up registration in the spring. But through our newsletter and through Roni, I know that she will keep you all informed on steps for the campaign. Um, so we'd love to have this group here just get connected and dive right into our digital library and see what's available that's of interest to you or that you can share with your families that you serve or anyone in your community. And then I just want to end it with, thank you all for taking the time and listening today. And if there are any questions, feel free, or any comments or um, insight. I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yes, thank you so much, Angie. And we do have time for questions or thoughts, so you can either come off of mute or drop it in the chat and I will read it out. And Kristen put in the chat, this was great, Angie. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Let me. Yes, we will send out the slides and the recording afterwards via email. And it will also be on our Healthy New Moms website as well too, for you to access whenever you might need. Awesome. So I'm not seeing, would any of you ever come speak to parents at a school? Yes, Angie, do you want to touch on how we can support people in person with workshops and trainings and all those things?
Yes, absolutely. So, our team, we are small but mighty, but yes, we love to come out to a school. We can, talk to parents on a variety of topics, whether it's self-care or this, early childhood foundation. And again, and we bring our resources with us. We are able to, on the spot, talk with parents and offer that support and navigation if that's something they need. And we always bring goodies. We have Children's Mental Health and Healthy New Moms branded items that are intended to be helpful to families and engage kids. So that was a long answer. The short answer is yes.
Yes, and you can email info@cmhm@mhamd.org to, request an in-person workshop. You can also find it on our website. Anyone else? These are really great questions and comments. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts?
I see Belinda saying something, but looks like you're on mute.
Oh, let me,
Yeah. Or you could type it in the chat if
yes. And Mackenzie, you can request for Belinda to come off of mute too, and it'll pop up in a really big box.
Yeah, I tried to do that. So hopefully she's able to speak to us.
I'll wait for you to share that in the chat. Anyone else have any questions or anything before we close?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Ooh, praise the Lord. I wanted to say thank you, Ronnie, for letting me in because Sharina, I had told her about this training. Long story short, Angie, you are amazing. As a pregnancy and postpartum coordinator, I work with Healthcare Access Maryland, and yes, my team is small but mighty as well. Your information is phenomenal. Everything that we receive from you today, I say we as a whole, not speaking for everybody, but for those who are in the organization of Healthcare Access Maryland, it's paramount to have this information. We we take our jobs very serious, and we know that early childhood starts great things. Having both parents, if not having both parents, having one that can accept and be re-educated on additional supports for their children to be successful in life. So everything that I saw today, I'm just happy to listen to the way you express your passion. And it allows me to wait for your slides and read them again. And when I engage with my ladies and their children, I'm able to provide some additional resources. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Belinda. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you found this helpful, and we will get that to you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yes. I cannot echo that enough. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. We will close. Thank you again, Angie, for such an amazing, informative webinar presentation today. And thank you to the Children's Mental Health Matters campaign. I want to emphasize, even though, we increase programming during the spring, you all can continue to do this work throughout the year. Get involved with the Children's Campaign, sign up as champions, join the newsletter so that you can stay in the know about the different things that, we are doing at MHAMD. At the end of this call, you will receive a follow-up email with the link to the recording and the presentation. It will also include a survey asking for feedback. We just want to gauge how we can make these presentations and webinars more impactful for you all, sorry, and the topics as well. Mackenzie just put it in the chat. Certificates of attendance for today's webinar are available. Please complete that form and we'll get those over to you. Again, these are not CEUs, but they're just a way to track that you attended this webinar. On September 15th, we will have our next webinar for Healthy New Moms. The title is Strong Starts, Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health and Supporting Families from the Beginning. We'll explore the foundations of infant early childhood mental health and the role that family members play in creating that safe space. I'll also be sharing why over the last couple of months we've been emphasizing infant early childhood mental health by sharing a new resource that we will be publishing for Maryland. If you're interested in serving as a guest speaker, you can feel free to complete the form that has been put in the chat for any webinars that are coming up, children's or healthy new moms, and someone from the team will reach out to you. And so that is it. I just want to thank you all again for the work that you all do individually, supporting mothers and families and communities across Maryland. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at info.hnm@mhamd.org. Thank you all and have a great rest of your day.